May we never buy foods that will bring pain and sorrows to our lives. In the heart of the busy market, under the hot sun and noise of traders shouting, there was a woman who sold pork. Her name was Mama Ife. Every day, she set up a old wooden table at the corner of the market, near the road where people passed by in a hurry. Her table was crushed and shaky, but that was where a magic happened. On that table, she placed a red pork meat, soft, attractive, and smelling like home. People came from far and near just to buy from her. Some said her pork tasted better than meat from big restaurants. Others said her hands carried blessings. But what made her stand out the most was the price. Cheaper than every other pork seller in the market. She gave plenty, yet asked for little. When she cut the pork and put it inside a black nylon for her customers, they smiled like they had won a prize. "Mama Ife, your pork sweet die," they would say. And when they got home, they cooked big pots of soup, rice, yam porridge, all full of her pork. Neighbors would peep through windows to ask, "Who cooked this sweet-smelling food?" And they would smile proudly and say, "It's Mama Ife's pork, oh." But before then, Mama Ife didn't always have customers. She didn't always have smiles and thank yous. No, she started small, with fear in her heart. That same wooden table once stood lonely at the edge of the market. Her pork lay untouched. Flies buzzed over it. Days passed, and no one stopped by. She would sit there from morning till evening, praying, wiping sweat off her face, waiting for just one person to ask, "How much is your pork?" Sometimes the pork stayed too long. It grew soft, began to smell. Even after she cleaned it and seasoned it well, nobody wanted to buy. And when it got bad, she cried silently as she threw it away. She wondered, "Why don't they buy from me? What have I done wrong?" But she didn't stop. She woke up early, carried a pork to the market again, set a table, and hoped for a better day. One day, something happened that began to change everything. One hot afternoon, as Mama Ife sat quietly at her wooden table, watching others sell, a tall woman with strong arms and sharp eyes walked up to her. Her name was Mama Pelu, but in the market, everyone called her Mama Catfish. She was known for selling the biggest, fattest catfish anyone had ever seen. Her table was never empty. Customers fought to buy from her. "I've been watching you," Mama Pelu said, smiling with lips that didn't reach her eyes. "You have good hands, but no luck. I can help you. If you are ready, I can help you." Mama Ife looked at her with confusion. "Help me? How?" "Meet me tonight. I will show you where I wash my fish." That night, the moon was full and the road to the river was quiet. Mama Ife followed Mama Pelu through narrow bush paths until they reached a silent river. The water looked black under the moonlight. Cold air blew across Mama Ife's skin. "This is my secret," Mama Pelu said, pointing to the water. "Before I take my fish to market, I draw water from here. It's not just water, oh. It gives life to what I sell." Mama Ife stood still. "But nothing comes free," Mama Pelu added. "You must throw a full pig inside the river and say what I tell you." Mama Ife hesitated, her heart beating fast. but something stronger than fear pushed her. She had suffered too long. She agreed. She returned the next night with a full pig, a last one, and Mama Pelu gave her the words to say. Mama Ife whispered the words and dropped the pig into the river. The water swallowed it without a splash. Silence returned. No spirit will appear to you, okay? Mama Pelu said. But when you sleep tonight, you will see. And she did. That night, Mama Ife dreamt, but it was not like any dream before. It felt real. She could feel the wind on her skin, smell the pork in the air, hear the crowd shouting her name. In the dream, she was standing beside a giant pot, bigger than a market table. It was full of red pork, raw, bright and glistening. Thousands of people lined up in front of her, silent, their faces empty. She picked the pork with her hands and fed each person one by one. As they ate, something strange happened. Their faces changed. Their noses grew wider. Their ears stretched. Their hands began to bend. They started snorting, crawling, becoming like pigs. More people came. Long shadows walked behind her, dropping more red pork into the pot. The meat never finished. Then, a deep voice echoed from the sky, loud and slow. We will give them pigs and take their glory. But you must never miss a day in the market, and you must never eat pork again. The voice laughed, ha 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 ha. A loud, cruel laugh that shook the ground. Mama Ife opened her eyes with a scream. She was sweating. Her room was dark and cold. She sat up, heart racing. Outside, a pig grunted loudly. It was still night. From that day on, everything changed. The next morning, after the strange dream, Mama Ife returned to the market like always. But something was different. People who used to pass by her table without a glance now turned their heads. They sniffed the air and followed the smell like it was calling them. Mama Ife, give me 2,000 naira pork. Mama Ife, I want for soup, give me plenty. Mama Ife, your pork gets another level today. Our table was full, yet the pork finished quickly. People came with big black nylons, bowls, and even sacks. She cut pork fast, her hands moving like they had done it forever. Laughter and praise followed her as she served customers after customer. They went home dancing. They cooked soups that filled the whole street with sweet aroma, rice, yam porridge, jollof rice, all packed with our pork. Families ate and smiled. Neighbors asked, "Where did you buy this meat?" And they would reply, "Mama Ife's pork, Market Road." But soon, strange things began to happen. The people who bought the pork started changing. Slowly, quietly. They didn't notice at first. No one did. Some started forgetting simple things. Some slept during the day like babies. Some walked barefoot without reason. Some refused to bathe. Some began to grunt quietly when they talked, like they were clearing their throat. But it was deeper. Some even started snoring while awake. Their mouth moved differently when they chewed, smacking lips loudly, chewing with open mouths. Others sniffed food like animals before eating. Some crawled out of bed in the morning on their hands and knees. Some refused to eat anything except pork. Wives noticed their husbands becoming lazy. Parents saw their children becoming slower, weaker, but nobody could tell when it started or what caused it. One day, a woman named Ajara came to the market. She bought pork from Mama Ife and went home. She used the meat to cook a sweet okra soup for her daughter, Fatima. Fatima loved the food. She licked her fingers. She even asked for more. The next day, Ajara gave her some leftover soup to take to school for lunch. Fatima finished everything, but that was the beginning. At school, Fatima's teacher noticed something strange. During break, while others ate with spoons or clean hands, Fatima bent her head over a plate like an animal. She didn't talk, she didn't blink. She used her hands, scooping food into her mouth fast, dropping pieces on the floor, snorting softly. Her classmates laughed, thinking it was a joke. Fatima is eating like a pig, they said, but Fatima didn't stop. Every day it got worse. At home, she refused to use a spoon. She didn't want plates. She started eating from the floor. Her mother shouted, beat her, prayed, but nothing changed. Fatima only grunted louder. Yet, nobody linked it to the pork. After all, how could good meat bring such bad behavior? And Mama Ife's table in the market, it was now the busiest in the entire area. But the shadows behind her were watching, and the river spirit was still whispering. Mama Ife became the most talked about pork seller in the market. Her spot never lacked customers. Rain or shine, morning or afternoon, she was always there. She never missed a single market day, not even one. Money came in like never before. She counted money every evening, filled nylon bags with money, and even started saving a lot of money. Her daughter, Ifoma, no longer lacked anything. But behind Mama Ife's smile was a tired body. The weight of a promise to the spirit. Never miss a market day. Never eat pork again. Pressed heavy on her. She needed rest. Her back ached. Her legs trembled. Her eyes burned from sleepless nights. Still, every market morning, she forced herself up. She wrapped a scarf, carried a pork, and went to the wooden table. Until one Saturday morning, the sun had not even risen. Roosters were still crowing in the distance, but Mama Ife couldn't get up. Her eyes opened, but her body refused to move. Pain spread through her arms, her back, her chest. She gasped. Cold sweat ran down her face. The voice from the dream echoed in her head. Never miss a day in the market. Fear gripped her heart. She tried to sit up. Nothing. She groaned, calling weakly, Ifoma, Ifoma. Her daughter ran in, shocked at the sight of her mother on the bed, shaking and pale. Mama, what is it? I can't move well. My body pains everywhere, Mama Ife whispered. Ifoma rushed out, bought medicine from the chemist, and returned with warm food. Banga rice she had bought from a distant market, not her mother's pork. Never Mama Ife's pork, because even in sickness, Mama Ife obeyed the warning. She never touched her own pork. She forced herself to eat the rice, and after taking the drugs, she fell asleep. But peace did not come. In her sleep, she found herself in a strange forest. The sky was red and the ground was muddy. From behind the trees, giant pigs appeared, huge, dark, with glowing eyes. They snorted loudly, their hooves crushing the heads. They ran after her. She ran too, but slowly, painfully. Her legs were heavy, as if she was dragging chains. The pigs came closer, their breath hot and foul. She screamed, then woke up, sweating, gasping, shaking. Her bed sheet was wet, her hands cold. She stayed awake the rest of the day, afraid to close her eyes, but in the afternoon, tiredness dragged her back into sleep. This time, the pigs were not alone. Dark spirits with twisted faces chased her too. They didn't speak, they just screamed. Their cries pierced the air. She ran, but her body dragged behind like she was sinking in mud. She woke again, shaking. From that day on, sleep became her enemy. Each time she closed her eyes, the nightmares returned. Pigs, shadows, screams, running, always running. Weeks passed, then months. Her body grew weaker, her face thinner. She coughed more. Her hands trembled when she tried to lift anything. She could no longer carry her pork to the market. She stayed at home, staring at the ceiling. The wooden table in the market stood empty. Her customers came, waited, and left. And somewhere, deep in the river, something was waiting too. As Mama Ife's health worsened and her body grew thin like broomsticks, she knew her time was near. Her eyes, once bright and sharp like a market trader's, were now dull and tired. The dreams never stopped. She could no longer tell when she was awake or asleep. In one final effort, she called her daughter. Her voice was weak, like wind passing through a broken window. Ifoma, go to the market. Call Mama Pelu. Tell her I need her, she whispered. Ifoma wiped her tears and ran. She searched the market and found Mama Pelu sitting at her usual spot with her big bowls of catfish. My mother is dying. Please come, Ifoma begged. But Mama Pelu didn't stand up. She looked at her coldly, her face stiff. She already knew. She had smelled it in the air. The smell of disobedience, the price of breaking a spirit's deal. She knows the rules, Mama Pelu said flatly. She didn't keep them. I can't help her now. Ifoma left in tears. Mama Pelu went back to selling her fish like nothing happened. Back at home, on a small mat on the dusty floor, Mama Ife laid still. Her breath slowed, her voice gone. Around her were the echoes of lives she had touched, but not enjoyed. She had fed people with cursed pork. She had destroyed marriages. She had stolen glories. Children failed. Husbands wandered. Wives wept. All without knowing where their troubles came from. And there, under the rusted zinc roof of her small room, Mama Ife gave up the ghost. The news spread fast. Ha! Mama Ife is gone. Chai! That woman with sweet pork. Hey! Ha ha ha! Her meat taste always sweet pass others, so ha! So that woman don't die. Neighbors came. They cried. Some brought food. Some just stood in silence. Her customers mourned her deeply. They had no idea what they had truly lost. But even in her death, no one ever discovered the reason for their misfortune. No one knew the truth behind their strange changes. The pigs, the glory exchange, the price they unknowingly paid with each bite of meat. And then, something more heartbreaking happened. Ifoma had cried her eyes dry. Her aunties gathered to comfort her, singing softly, praying, telling her to stay strong. She hadn't eaten all day. She was weak, shaking, sitting in a corner like a shadow. One of her aunties, in kindness, served her a warm plate of banga soup and rice, innocently made with leftover pork from the small freezer, her mother's pork. "Eat, my child. You need strength," the auntie said softly. Ifeoma didn't know. She ate slowly, quietly, finished everything. Later, she lay down to rest. Hours passed. The house grew quiet. "Let's check on Ifeoma," one of the aunties said. They called her name. She didn't answer. They touched her arm. Cold. They shook her. No response. Ifeoma was gone. They wept again. Loud cries filled the room. She missed her mother too much. She died from grief. That's what they said. That's what they believed. But no one knew. No one ever discovered her mother's secret. No one knew the truth. And those who had eaten from the cursed pots continued living, bound in chains they could not see, trapped in misfortune only God himself could break. A lesson learned from this story is that you should pray before you eat, because you don't really know what you're buying from the markets.